Finally, the end of a long and hard season had arrived in the form of the Ford Carnival City 400 on the East Rand. For Grobler, it was all there to be had. A win and he'd be the national champ for the 4th time. For Cox, a win and he'd celebrate a first. Just 4 points separated the two teammates at the top of the championship log, while Schroeder and Harris were a distant third but up in Class D. In the special vehicle class, Marsh and Whitehouse were setting the pace, but the Harpers were only 8 points back. Evan Hutchinson secured the Class B title with his showing in Mpumalanga, the only title to have found an early home. The rest were all up for grabs. Vos and Terstege sent the tongues and stopwatches wagging with a quick time in the short prologue. While some of the yumps, bumps and jumps proved to be hard for the cars and drivers, but loads of fun for the spectators. Advanced Soft's Gary Bartelt and Rousseau started off like they always do in the prologues, a whirlwind. While Grobler and Jordan had it all to do to keep the championship title and hopes up. Varjawa and Van Zyl were at it again, flying along and scaring the works teams a bit. It was a dry day one, but day two dawned after more than 60 millimeters of rain had fallen, so it meant a completely new approach and attitude. Luckily, by the end of the almost 500 Ks, it had dried up. Gibson and Rathui were again in the thick of things and were putting the pressure on. While further back in mid-pack, the racing was as tight as it had been all season. No one was giving anything away. Zermatt and Zwegler were again travelling well, but this time they could not finish. It was a great run though, boys. The story of the race was Cox, who barely 2 Ks into the prologue had rolled the hard body. The Nissan boys stuck it together with tape, glue and some spit, and off he went in 50th place. But by the end of it all, he'd done one of the great drives of the season. The Harpers, looking for that championship title, were still right in there too, with Marsh and Whitehouse holding vigil. The overnight rain had made most of the route extremely slick and very muddy, and recognizing vehicles was reduced to an art form at one stage. As for Schroeder and Harris, the Ford hopes, they were taking a caution-first approach, just wanting to secure a finish. Still, they were picking up slower traffic and doing it fairly quickly. Zane Pierce sensed the bodywork was going ahead into this rocky outcrop, but an impatient Marsh and Whitehouse almost barged right through. You could tell it was championship time for some. With just a few points in it, the Toyotas were trying gamely, but Nissan had packed it up in the front, so their manufacturer's championship was tied up, and for the 6th time at that. The Moffats again held station, and were trying to get their Landy there in one piece, while the Duplessis were hoping for exactly the same thing. Again, the brother-in-law combination of Duplessis and Segers was setting the pace in Class A, and no one could get close. Varjawa and Van Zyl tried as hard as they could. And even though the afternoon summer sun had dried things out, the route was still a testing one, which demanded 110% concentration and 120% application. Grobler and Jordan got lost for about 6 minutes worth, and that basically cost them the championship because Cox was driving as if his life was depending on it. He was up into the top 5 after a stunning hell for leather drive. Marsh and Whitehouse made sponsors Nashua Mobile proud and were heading for the Class A title. And after thousands of kilometers of racing, 8 different stops throughout Southern Africa, it had finally come down to this, the last few Ks at the Ford Carnival City 400. But there was still something to jump about for Paulo Piazzamuso and Oki Fourie. While Ford, Schroeder and Harris were wrapping things up. A big crowd welcomed home the winners du Plessis and Segers.
First on the road and winning the special vehicle category, Gerard du Plessis and Ferdy Segers in the Joko. Well done.
But all eyes were waiting to see whether Cox would get there to clinch the championship. Grobler took first in the production car race by slightly more than 10 minutes, but it was not enough. Cox and Pitchford took a triumphant second place to clinch the 2005 production championship title. The family combination of du Plessis and Segers took line honours 15 minutes ahead of Gibson and Trethui. And to confirm the national championship standings, Cox grabs a vital 3 points more than Grobler to celebrate his 4-wheel production car national title, while Marsh and Whitehouse got the job done ahead of the Harpers and du Plessis and Segers finished third. The manufacturer's points log and a 6th victory for Nissan. I guess that should be called a red wash. From all the drivers, crews and the television team, we wish you and yours a safe and peaceful festive season. I'm Arnold.